All right, let's do it. Welcome to Friday Forum, April 14th, 23. And a quick reminder of what the Friday Forum is all about. So this is our weekly sync time. So we're a remote asynchronous team. It's often a little bit difficult to keep up with what's happening across all the functions that make up the organization. And this is our opportunity to sort of sync on what happened across the company each week, celebrate achievements, hear from members directly, share our culture, and generally get on the same level. We have other forums and channels for social connection and for deep business metrics. This is not that. So just a reminder on what we're all here for. Okay, recent achievements. So on the product front, we shipped levels 1.6 and trends 1.1 features to 100% of our members. So the app now has trends rather than just raw data, where that trends tab was. So this is great. And beta 1 for the CGM optional experience is still showing really good engagement. So our target for engagement, which is at least 2 app opens per week, is currently 50%, and our engagement is showing 69%. So a healthy margin over our target right now. Obviously still early, but this is looking good. Engineering is focused on beta 2. So as we, this is just going to roll right through our milestones on to the next one. One of the big hurdles there is hybridizing the app for all the member states that someone can have. So you could have CGM, you could have no CGM, and the experience has to be quite fluid. So hybridization is the major push on engineering side. We've got a synthetic glucose product or a project that is underway. So the goal there is to be able to represent some of the community data in a more visceral sort of CGM-like way for those that don't necessarily have a sensor on. So that's a big project. We're shifting from a local post-hog instance to a cloud post-hog instance, which should substantially reduce a lot of burden on the team, on the eng team for post-hog. And then restoring zones for CGM. So basically, again, part of that hybridization experience. And then we're building some guides, content levers features. So multi-part stories, food guides, polls, kitchen V2, all in work right now in preparation for that beta 2. So a ton of work there. On the sort of internal ops front, we've got new memos on the compensation philosophy. It's largely a restatement of our comp philosophy, where we separate out the policy from the philosophy. And that was a really good idea from Riley to make sure that we aren't mixing our terminologies there, and also have the flexibility to maintain a philosophy while adapting to sort of the real company dynamics on the policy side. And then we've got a benchmarking memo that sort of digs deeper into the compensation benchmarks that we use inside the company. Q1 2023, so we had basically 100% participation in that. Early results are coming in, so we'll talk about that in a week. So hang tight for takeaways from the survey. And then we had a great ops meeting, meetup this past week in Austin. It's awesome to see the member support team and the whole ops team here in town. On the ops front, so we had 97% happiness this past week, which is huge. I think we've been well above our target for the last 2 weeks, and despite that, huge weekly volume, which is really straining our turnaround times for the support team. There's just a lot of new initiatives, and people are trying to figure out what's going on. And occasionally we'll have bugs and new signups and experiments that we're running. And just a reminder, the support team is where the rubber hits the road for that, and they're really working through a huge backlog frequently. That said, our support leverage is also down, so below target right now. So just a lot of load on the support team, and just a reminder that everything we're experimenting on and all the pace that we're shipping at translates into additional friction for members occasionally, and that leads to support having to take on more volume. So just keep that in mind. We had a great whole new level episode with Tim Noakes. So Tim, last week we had Andrew Kutnick on. He talked about the study that we did with Tim Noakes on high carb versus low carb performance, and we dig into some of that on the whole new level episode. So I highly recommend that. It was a great chat. Caitlin and Tony are diving deep on beta 1 and 2 content. So continuing to bring our editorial firepower to the product team. And we're focusing on content growth opportunities in the second half of the year. Let's see. Okay, so signups are back underway. So last week we had to suspend signups for beta 2 because we did not have the right number. We couldn't handle certain purchase states. So those are back underway. We've hit about a quarter of our target for the beta. Let's see here. The progress bar is right about 25% right now, and conversion rates are looking really good relative to checkout starts. So up near like 26%, which we got to be very careful. And Ben does a deep dive in his async this week on how to calculate conversion rate based on checkout start and make sure that we're not, sort of kidding ourselves in these numbers, but so far looking quite good. We also have very good metrics on the first 3,000 emails that we sent out to our email list about the beta 2. So great open rates on the order of 60+%, click-through rates above 10%. So really good. We've got a modal on the homepage right here, talking about early access to our updated app. Social posts are going up to describe the upcoming beta. And we have user referrals. So beta 1 members can refer people for beta 2. So tons of stuff going on. We're testing many things simultaneously, staying data-driven and prepping for beta 2. And then, okay, finally, so blended conversion rate is our second highest of 2023. So the wins that the growth team have incorporated into our homepage and into our signup flow continue to pay off. So shout out to the growth product team. Beta 2 partner promotions are live. So again, as I mentioned, I think 5 of our partners are now talking about beta 2 and creating content around it so that they can generate support. And the Q2 growth plan is out. So we're going to be doing, you'll hear a lot more about smoke tests. Smoke tests are, essentially confirming assumptions at a very high rate about how to position our product, what resonates with members, how to adapt our homepage, how to adapt our signup flow without having to do a ton of engineering work. So check out the memo from Karen. There's going to be a ton on the smoke test front, and this will trickle across signups, again, homepages, and on into our new referrals program, where Refer a Friend 1.0, you can see coming together here. Okay, I think that generally touches on the majority of it. We've got just a ton of stuff going on. Emails optimized for mobile here, tons of guides content in production. This is just like, it's hard to describe how much stuff is going on behind the scenes on the guides front, in particular, all the content that's being generated. I know I, in particular, do not have a good calibration for how much is happening here. And then I get exposed to some of the volume. I'm like, holy smokes, I had no idea this is going on. So there's just a lot out there. So shout out to the whole team. Okay, jumping ahead. So I want to welcome Meghan Mcnab. Meghan is joining us this morning as a member of Levels. She's a partner at a law firm focused deeply on the technical and regulated areas that we all know and love, like healthcare. She's a health and fitness enthusiast. She is a certified personal trainer and nutritionist. And Meghan, I really appreciate you taking some time this morning to hang out with us on the Friday Forum. I would love to, in particular, sort of hear your perspective on what you're most excited about in the world of health and wellness, metabolic health in particular, and maybe a bit about your experience with Levels thus far.
Yeah, I am most excited about just the education that Levels is doing and the access to data that Levels is providing to folks. We wouldn't expect a pilot to fly a plane without information about the engine, the wings, all the things. So why should we operate our bodies, our most important machines, without that same data and information? And you guys are doing just that. And I'm in awe of it, and I applaud you. Really, I started with Levels a year or two ago. My father is a type 2 diabetic. I remember the day he was diagnosed, he was so overwhelmed with like this table that the doctor gave him on what to eat. When we went to dinner that night, he didn't even know. He was overwhelmed. And so that really resonated with me, and I committed to not being in that position. It was a shock a few years ago when I actually, even though I worked out all the time and limited processed food, I was on the brink of being pre-diabetic. And so, learning that, and that really, it might've just been that my body doesn't like bananas, it made me realize I need data about myself. And so I started exploring CGMs, and I came across the Levels blog, and I just, deep dove into that website and that blog. You guys had so much information available for free. And I was just, reading as much as I could. And then I think I signed up for the beta at that time, like multiple times, just trying to maybe the more they see my name, they'll get me on it sooner. Luckily, I ended up connecting with somebody that had an access code. And so as soon as I got that, I immediately signed up, and I've used Levels multiple times since. And I love the personalized feedback that it provides along with the education. Quinoa, it's a great food. It doesn't work for my body. And I'm able to take what I learn and apply it. And so, and as my slide says, I'm really big into fitness. And so this Tim Noakes whole new level, I'm so excited to see that and hear that, because I'm really curious about just glucose intake and physical performance. And so I just, the more information we can get, the better. And so I applaud you all for what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. And I love to hear the path to levels. It's always interesting to hear the individual perspectives. I think having the amount of exposure and how early you were exposed to what we've been building towards, I would love to just kind of hear what one major improvement that you would recommend that we focus on. It could be anything. It could be a product feature, a new product vertical altogether, or something that we're just kind of dropping the ball on right now. But what would you recommend we focus on that you haven't seen yet?
Well, what I've struggled with the most has been around nutrition timing for physical performance. And, I'll try out different things myself, and it's just really hard to kind of piece together what I see on my Levels app in terms of like where my glucose spikes and how that relates to like a pre-workout meal versus a workout. And it sounds like, you have some articles on the blog about this, and it sounds like you're coming out with something new, but I would love more information for not just somebody that is working out to burn calories, but somebody who truly wants physical performance, is competing, or, the ability to apply to the everyday person as well as to a competitive athlete.
Yes, that sort of specific goal-based element, getting sharper, getting more individualized. Absolutely, yeah. Well, I'm excited because so much of this is falling into the direction that we're driving here, and also being able to connect the dots between sensor experiences, right? So for some people, they want to wear that continuously and have that full-time feedback loop. Others want to use this as a trajectory check, and being able to stay aligned on a goal set that you have, regardless of your sensor state, is something we're building right now. And I'm very excited to have you as an early user, I hope, on one of those features sometime very soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining, Megan, and we'd love to have you stick around for the rest of the meeting. We'll dig into some various function stuff and some updates there. If not, I just want to say from the whole team, we really appreciate you setting aside some morning time on Friday and sharing your story with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we got a double feature this morning, which is exciting. I want to welcome Mark Janzen. So Mark is a member. He's a crowdfund investor, backed us in our WeFunder round, which was one of the most exciting moments of my time here at Levels personally. Venture partner, engineer, and product manager. Mark, I really appreciate you joining us. I think you've been a member now since January of 2022, something along those lines. So also has a lot of exposure to what we've done and kind of seen the arc of our building. So Mark, thanks for joining us. I'd love to hear what you're excited about in the world of health, metabolic health, and your personal experience with Levels.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be part of this. Can you hear me okay? Great. As you mentioned, I'm a serial tech entrepreneur. I love gadgets and what has been called like the quantified self. I would cover my body with sensors if that was an option. I heard your story, Josh, on the Acquired podcast, and was so intrigued I signed up that day. I've used the product twice for a month, 1 year apart. Most recently this past January, I've used both the Dexcom and Libra sensors. And maybe surprisingly, I prefer the one that I have to touch to my arm. I think that's the Libra. So I'm here because I reported a UI issue. Those of you over 40 know, like you go through about a decade period where on your iPhone, you keep increasing the font size as you age. And the issue for me was I had a certain setting of zoom and font scalability that meant I could no longer enter food in the diary in the app. It was hidden in the UI. And I got to imagine it's incredibly hard to test all the permutations of that user experience. But I was delighted by the feedback I got on reporting the issue and the invitation to be here today. So what I've loved about the experience of using levels was just an insight. You know, I've heard my whole life people say, oh, you know, this person has low blood sugar or whatever, but like it really is a mystery until you get the data. And I loved learning like what worked for me and what didn't. I was happy to find out, you know, my blood sugar stays in a relatively normal range unless I eat sushi. And that was great to learn about. A few thoughts. Sometimes I've had the experience of feeling like I'm working for the app instead of it working for me, where like I constantly have to like care and feed and garden the app, almost like it's like a chore, and much more like you know, in an ideal world, it would be almost passive, where like it's just picking up what I'm eating and the sensors and occasionally giving me insights instead of it like, you know, like the alarm goes off, it's time to feed the app. I'm not quite sure how to fix that, but I just wanted to give that feedback. I heard something you just said about synthetic blood sugar. That was one of the ideas I wished once you have enough data, you would start guessing my blood sugar even when I'm not wearing a sensor. You know, if you've got thousands of samples and you know that if I eat this, every time it's within this range, I mean, maybe it could be a confidence interval, like you're probably between 80 and 100 right now. Maybe that's what you're already working on. So not sure about that, but I wanted to give that feedback. It would make me more likely to use the app when I'm not wearing a sensor. And the last thing is I really look forward to more diverse sensors like hormone levels. I don't know if that technology is progressing, but I would love to have that kind of data as well. So that's my whole pitch.
Well, thank you, Mark, for stringing together the complete end-to-end. I think, you know, first of all, as a fellow former sushi eater, I feel for you there, and definitely know that feeling. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing your experience and also where we can improve. If you'd like to stick around, please do. We've got, you know, the rest of the meeting, we'll be diving into more of the function stuff. But if not, thanks again on behalf of the team.
You're welcome. And I have one last thought. I love your investor updates, and I share them occasionally. I show them to other founders to say, this is what you need to be doing. This is the gold standard of investor updates.
Well, we love to hear that. The whole team contributes. It's definitely a beautiful chronology of the company as well, because you can string those together and see where we came from. So I appreciate the appreciation.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Jumping ahead and welcoming Daniel Hensley. So many of you, or several of you, were able to meet Dan this past week. And so he's helping us out on the R&D front. He's worked on MRI-like technology. He's got a depth of experience on bioengineering as well as data and signal processing problems. Has worked on many cool startups. And I'm excited to work with him here in Austin. Daniel, over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, great to be here, everyone. Great to join the team. Yeah, so maybe I'll just say a little bit, you know, to add on to what Josh said about myself. So I'm here in Austin, again, consulting now with the R&D team. Grew up in a random small town in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and then was out in the San Francisco Bay Area for about 10 years. And then recently found my way back to Austin, really enjoying it, and excited again to work with the R&D team. You know, as Josh mentioned, briefly touching on my background, you know, most recently I was co-founder and head of engineering at a company called Infinity AI, which was a great team, and got to experience what it's like to build a company from scratch. So that was great. And then even before that, right out of college, you know, 21, 22 years old, did a startup with my professor out of UT. You know, didn't necessarily know what I was doing, but I had a lot of fun, learned a lot. But I think, you know, one of the you know, when I think about this, I basically my entire professional career, I've been working at startups, and I really love the excitement, the energy, and the ambition, and especially an exciting mission. And, you know, Levels has all of these, and I'm really excited to work with Levels in this regard. And, you know, again, really excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. Excuse me. We've got Daniel's doing a sort of truncated version of onboarding to really ramp into the culture, get familiar with the tools, get familiar with the team. So because this project is, you know, it's in R&D, which can feel a little bit separate from the main business, we definitely want to create you know, a good welcome for Daniel across the team. So I think we have a coffee chat coming up maybe this coming week. jump in there, say hi to Daniel, help him out as he gets familiar with our strange and exciting way of doing work. Looking forward to it, Daniel. All right, culture and kudos slide. So got a couple anniversaries here. So firstly, happy 2 years to Justin. Can't believe it's been 2 years. I feel like we just talked about your 1 year, but congratulations. That's a huge milestone. And then Sonia and Caitlin both hitting the 1 year mark this past week. Awesome. And just been amazing to have you both on the team. It feels like you're just so integrated across all the major projects already, which is really cool. And it was awesome to get to hang with Caitlin in person this past week. And then you can see some ops and support meetup action on the right here, R&D location, support team hanging out, got a bunch of barbecue at Terry Black's. It was great. Okay. Managers matter. Chris Jones, over to you.
Thanks, Josh. A couple of days ago when we were in Austin, Ms. asked me to present for the cultural axiom. And I was like, what topic? He's like, I don't know, something about managerial stuff. And I went through this slide and like, nothing resonated with me. So I actually added a new one. So consider this a bit of a proposal or a kickoff for continuing to expand the everything's written in pencil axiom. The number one reason why people leave companies is because of a bad or poor manager. So if you think about your career or people that you know, have you heard them say phrases, things like, I can't deal with my boss, he or she is a micromanager, I'm bored at work, I'm overworked at work, I don't know what's going on. I'm being asked about, did I get the memo about the TPS reports and being asked to work on Saturday? Those comments are pretty typical in like the work environment. And a lot of it comes back to like that managerial skills. But the inverse is also true. Employees will also leave a company to follow a great manager. I personally have left 4 jobs to follow an old boss, because I know that when I work for someone that I respect, who respects me and can kind of protect me and guide me and coach me and make me the best I can be, like that is the environment that I want to be, regardless of like what company is signing my paycheck. So managers can have both kind of a huge kind of influence on employees, both negatively and positively. So when I was flying back, Nicole sent out here's the pre-read for the culture survey, which I'm sure all of us have, read, and the first question I go immediately to before anything else is the question around am I supported and cared for by my manager and can lean on for them for guidance? Like if I can hit that one out of the park, the rest of it's gravy. And luckily I actually went back as a company. We've been averaging 4.8 for the last 3 surveys on that one. So across kind of all of our managers, it's an area that like we are doing extremely well on. The flip side, do I get regular feedback from my manager? A little bit more of like there are cracks in the armor across the board. And I know this is an area like I personally struggle with. It came up kind of in the Austin offside of like, I struggle giving negative feedback. Like that is a big opportunity for me as a manager. So something I'm working on. But as I think about it, like the best way we learn is from each other. The example of the weekly sync calls I had with Dave 10 or watching another levels manager deliver a PIP are some of the best managerial tips that I've gotten in my entire career. It wasn't by bringing an external consultant in or like taking us through some program. It was from us sharing kind of what works and what doesn't amongst ourselves. So we are our best resource when we think about building great managers. So really my commitment kind of this is I'm going to be spending a lot more time thinking about, should we have the axiom of managers matter and a memo and more best practice around sharing from each other, learning, creating environments where managers can basically bounce ideas off of each other, because it does make a difference in terms of retaining great talent. And that is my cultural axiom proposal, I guess.
Love it. Well, I can see it fitting directly into the talent density value that we have here. And so I think that is it's a really important element that fits right into building a super talent dense and supportive culture of a great team that crushes our mission. So I love the perspective there, Chris, and I really appreciate you always bring this depth of wisdom to that is grounded in experience. So I love it. If anyone hasn't seen Chris's coffee chat from last week, he recorded something, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, digging into his history and background and how to think about jobs it's a great watch. I won't go deeper than that. Thank you, Chris. Company objectives. All right, main thing. Level shows you how food affects your health. This is where we still are. Everyone should be working towards this priority, and I feel highly confident that everyone is. If you have any questions, just raise those with your manager or with anyone else. Sam.
All right, just a quick beta numbers to hit update. We got some updated numbers on engagement at 69%, which is still above our target. And we are about 25% of the way to hitting our beta conversions goal. We still have a couple weeks to hit it. Seems like we will likely be able to, but just keeping everyone aware that we're still about 750 conversions before we hit that goal. Next slide gives a little more detail on it. So this is our conversion rate on a number of different channels that we're trying. How many of these are current members? How many of them are new members? So let's just keep that going. And if there's anything that the growth team, this is mostly Ben, needs in terms of support to hit these numbers, definitely reach out to them and let's make it happen.
All right. Let's do it. Love seeing a progress bar. Let's peg it. All right, Ms.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, wanted to talk for a few minutes today about something that's been, I think, on a lot of people's minds and just part of the conversations that I heard in the offsite this week, but also just across the company recently. So you always get this question, how's everything going at work? And you can go to the next slide here. You get the like, I love my job, I love my life, my team loves each other, we're working hard, it's great, it's been really busy, but yeah, it's awesome. And that's like a normal gut reaction. And we've spoken on a few podcasts about the like responding with how's work? It's great, it's busy, and what that means. And so like, we'll dig into that a little bit, but next slide here, want to acknowledge that it's okay that it might feel and look like this, right? We're all playing with our Legos, we're all getting along, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but you might feel differently. And that's okay sometimes. Let's go to the next slide here. You might be feeling like this. You might be drowning in Legos, more Legos than you know what to do with. And credit where it's due, Lego analogy is not mine. That comes from Molly Graham, who wrote that post, Giving Away Your Legos. And so this is very much inspired by her, so credit there. So that's one possible feeling, and it's fine to be feeling that way. We can go to another slide. You might also be feeling like you're in firefighter mode, which is a little bit different, right? That's not necessarily drowning, but this is trying to keep up. It's feeling overwhelmed. It's being stressed. It's, focused and organized, but like, whoa, it's a little hot in here. And so I think this is kind of calling on a tension that exists at the moment, which is okay to acknowledge. And so if you can go to the next slide here, I think there's two things going on. Reality number one, two realities. Reality number one, we're building a healthy company with a sustainable culture. We're calm, not busy. We stress the importance of rest, of mandatory minimum times off, of encouraging delegation, creating slack in our workday and in our work in general, not glorifying hustle culture or burnout or buying into the cult of overwork. We're remote, manage your own schedule, you're in charge, go work out during the day, take the ski run on the Friday, do your thing. It's great and we encourage that, and you're your own boss. That's awesome. Reality number two, we're default dead. What we do matters right now. We can't afford to get it wrong too many times. We're relentlessly focused on product market fit. Hustle culture exists for a reason. It works. We need to build and ship faster than ever. Our company mission, our culture is, and our company as a whole is, and success is on the line. Everyone has to chip in and find a way to kind of grab a shovel. And wherever you are across the organization, content, support, operations, growth, we're all focused on the exact same goal, and that's what it's going to take. And I think it's okay that there's some tension between these two, and that they both exist. And it's okay to call out that tension and acknowledge that it's there. I think if we were really hard in either direction, we'd probably have a very different set of problems. And so it's okay that we have both, so long as we can make sense of it, address it, acknowledge it. And something that's come up in a few conversations is I've heard some people say, and I myself might have said, like, we're going to get through this period, we'll finish beta 2, we'll finish beta 3, and then we'll take a step back and we'll regroup and we'll all deep exhale and like return to normal, return to our sanity. And that's kind of where we'll end up. And I think my hot take, my big insight is that if we do this right, and if we kind of nail this, we're not going to have a chance to take a step back. It's unlikely, right? If we're successful, then this is not this one sprint. This is mile one of the marathon. And that changes the mindset, which is to say that everything we've been doing until this point hasn't been this false reality of this culture that we've been building. It's been practicing for the right mindset so that we can now play the game the way we need to. And so hopefully we're always growing, we're always going forward, and we're always going to have that sense of momentum and structure. And really what needs to change is the way that we think about it and the way we adapt to it. So you can go to the next slide here. I want to call out some things that we've done very, very well, and things that we can do as a team to kind of keep our eye on the ball. So constantly adjusting our goals, having systems, not targets. We just finished off on that slide with really clear visibility on what we're working towards, which is really helpful. Something to keep in mind, winners and losers have the same goals. I always love that line, and it always sticks with me. But we should kind of get into that mindset of like, we are professional, sustainable athletes that can perform, show up for big games, feel the pressure. And if you think about who you want on that field, you want someone showing up that's fresh and sharp and well-rested, a team player, fully invested. And that requires them being balanced and being able to perform strongly and have a full battery to do that. Hang on 1 second, I lost my slide here. It requires having alignment on clear goals, being clear about what we're trying to accomplish, knowing what time frame we're doing that on, and knowing how having context for knowing if we'll be successful. So the point of that alignment is to reduce wasted energy, and I think we've done an exceptional job at having very, very crystal clear goals. And so patting ourselves on the back for that. That's kind of gotten us to this point. But go to the next slide here. What's important is also to zoom out. This one came from the discussion section of the original burnout memo, defending against burnout memo. We don't want to get lost in the woods because we're too busy to see what we could be doing differently. So keeping this in mind is important. And so I'm going to kind of pull us to that memo that we wrote, defending against burnout. There was 2 sections to it. You can go to the next slide here. I'm not going to go into that memo specifically because I don't think this is specifically about burnout. It's really just resolving some of that tension that exists. But touching on that memo, there was protecting against overwork, and there was protecting against overinvestment of identity into work. On the protecting against overwork, ruthlessly prioritizing, aligning your work to your zone of genius so you're not easily getting exhausted, calling your shots so that your focus is crystal clear and you can get rid of everything else. When things are moving fast and there's a lot going on, it's easy to get into this mode of everything's important and I'm going to do all of it and I'm going to put in more and more and more hours, but that's actually not going to help us get to the right place. So all the tactics that we've practiced to date in terms of keeping perspective and knowing that you're doing a good job, having the systems and structures in place, knowing that we have feedback in place that if you're not being told explicitly that you're not performing, then you're in the good spot. So you don't have that constant negative self-talk of, I'm not doing enough, everyone else is working harder. And then you kind of get into that cycle. And connecting with others at work, building social relationships, all of these things are really, really important. And we need to make sure that we continue to do them and lean on those practices to have somewhat of a sustainable mindset to get through this. So we have a great, great foundation, and that's what's going to power us through this next phase. So I'll kind of wrap up on that, but also acknowledge that there's one more slide here. It's okay to talk about these things with people. It's okay to acknowledge the tensions that exist. And we should really focus on getting to a sustainable mindset where we can perform exceptionally. And if we are at 100%, find that 80, stay in that zone. We can flex up and down as needed, but you can't stay all the way here. And so we've got to get this right. We're all in it. We're excited about it. But yeah, let's give it our all. So there's a ton of great resources on this. There's a podcast that Haney, Josh, and Tom did from a year ago that fueled a lot of this content. So thanks to the 3 of you from last year. There's a podcast that Ben and I did on burnout. There's the memos. There's like a dozen resources on that topic in that Notion doc that I think most people haven't seen in quite a while, maybe since onboarding. So if you're feeling any of this, if any of this resonates, this is probably a good time to take some time, go through that and just kind of recenter yourself, make sure you know what your priorities are for the day, focus on those, everything else is after. Cool.
Do a quick refresh. Nothing to add there. Awesome. Thank you, Ms. And yes, glad we're addressing the elephant in the room of the tension that is inherent here in a startup like ours. David.
Awesome. So I think last week when I was out for the product update, we went into a deep dive on all the product content, the food guide, and all the thinking around everything that we're doing on that side. This week, I thought I could go through, actually, Josh, can you progress the slide, please? Unless it's, yeah, great. One more. I just wanted to give you a quick update on things that are in flight for beta 1 from the product software side, what we're learning and what we're releasing this week to help us learn faster. So as a reminder, our current beta 1 priorities are to keep up a high cadence of learning velocity and to develop a system so we can leverage content and reuse it scalably. So next slide. This week, we launched multi-part stories, which if you zoom in a little bit on this photo, which you can't, but just look at the bottom, there's now 3 different progress bars. So you can attach multiple assets to the same video, kind of like Instagram stories. And this is a huge unlock for us because it helps us do 2 things. One is it really turbocharges our ability to reuse content. So someone like Sonia can tee up and set context for an older video and then associate the video quickly with the second one. Maybe it's from Stacy, maybe it's from Lynette or someone else. As we develop more and more guides in the future, we'll have the ability for people to mix and match in this way. And also it massively decreases the hypothesis is that it's going to massively decrease our video production effort because now the guides don't need to do a single produced long form video. They can chop it up into text-based slides, short videos where they're just talking into the camera, much like they could on Instagram stories. So really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out in the coming week. Next slide. And then we released a temporary feature, which is a DM the guide feature. There's a little chat button you can now tap inside of a video. And that opens up a text message where you can text Sonia or Stacy. And then we also have Lynette and Rebecca helping us out to man these. The thing we're doing here is we're hoping to increase learning velocity by hearing what the pain points are, having a more synchronous method to go back and forth with people and tease out more details on what they want from the experience, what's working, what's not working. We're going to pull this feature out before general availability. But in the meantime, it's been a really nice way for us to get feedback from users. Next slide. Also released this week is in-app profiles for people who are not guides. And we're starting with recipe content creators. So you see here Beth Bollinger, one of our recipe partners. In exchange for promotion in app, she's giving us access to all of her delicious, metabolically healthy recipes. And so we think this is a win-win for her to be increased exposure and brand presence, and also for our members who are going to get access to some of the best recipes that are metabolically friendly that are out there. And this is great. It's setting the stage for having a better people presence throughout the app. So not only will you be able to tap onto Sonia, but you could tap onto Beth, see all of her recipes. Beth won't be producing videos, but you can still see the corpus of her work and how it relates into the Levels ecosystem. And Sonia was talking to Dr. Hyman, who agreed to provide us access to all of his recipes. So you're going to be seeing more and more to come in the kitchen tab and Levels for really excellent recipes here. So we're seeing really strong engagement at the kitchen tab so far. You can see Cosima's update in comms on this, but we're seeing, I think it's somewhere around 50% of people are coming in weekly to the kitchen tab. It's currently higher than we have for food logging even. So I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening on this direction. Next slide. And then this is in progress concepts here. So don't hold these designs as exactly as they are, but the software team has been working really hard to work on the hybrid no CGM and CGM experience. And as you know, for beta 1, we released the no CGM meal review, and it has a beautiful new designs. We're now up-leveling that so that those new designs work in the world with zones, where when you have a CGM, you can see the context, both your meals and your activities and how it matters and how they interplay. We're going to be unifying the experience so that things are excellent and great and simple when you have no CGM, and they get even better when you're on CGM. And expect some really cool beta tests to come out of this over the next few weeks as the engineering team develops this and we shift gears towards beta 2. Next slide. And then 2 quick callouts for releases this week, unrelated to our 2023 vision. We released to 100% of people Trends 1.1, which you can see a screenshot there on the left, which is not just showing you the raw data, but making the trends and insights more visible, and so you can take action on that. And then Levels 1.6 has finally been released, which is our converting from the points-based system into a streaks-based system, and the corresponding rewards for that. So results readout for these features next week, but wanted to just announce that these are now alive and you can see them. That's it for the product update this week.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of A lot of super cool stuff.
There's actually a lot of other things going on. I just wanted to highlight a few. So there's a lot of other features in development on both the software pod and the guidance pod. So we'll highlight those next week.
Killer. Well, thank you, David. Thanks, product team, eng team. Tons of progress here. And yeah, continuing to love seeing the social elements, the people elements of the app come together, and the enhanced focus on engagement and metrics tracking. It's really cool to see data-driven learning here. All right, quick hiring update. So John Carroll, who many of you know as Comms John, has formally joined Levels. He's going to be, I think his first full-time day is April 16th, so Tuesday, or Sunday. So excited to have John full-time on the Levels team, continuing to develop the communications tool that is truly made in the image of Levels culture. And yeah, it's been amazing to see how quickly he has built what we all rely on as our daily comms tool, which is pretty great. So yeah, welcome aboard, John. Okay, open roles. If you or someone you know is interested in Levels and what we're building here, check out levels.link/careers. We don't currently have open roles at the moment, but definitely check out what we're doing here, stay in the loop, and you can submit some info for the future. Okay, we got plenty of time here, so we will do individual contributions. I'm going to stop the share, and we can go to reactions. So you can click the reactions button on your Zoom app. Raise your hand. Chris beat me to it. Chris.
I just want to thank, well, one, it was incredible trip to Austin to meet everyone, the local team, the R&D team, even some of the new people like Daniel. It was great to kind of meet you. I also just want to really big, huge shout out to the support and ops team. We had a lot of, hard conversations, really transparent, open, and people were really highly engaged, really spoke their mind, not just the, hey, work, someone missed the slide like, hey, work's great, I love it. But like, these are struggles. This is where I'm having trouble. Like, that's really what we need to hear to figure out how can we make changes and fix it. So I just really appreciate the honesty, the transparency, and the openness of the support ops team as we kind of went maybe a little deeper than you're used to in some offsites. So I just want to say thanks. It was a great trip and I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Yeah. On the professional side, just continuing to be really proud of the team and all the efforts that are going into maintaining a high level of cadence, hitting deadlines, facing serious challenges in the context of a very transparent set of circumstances. I think everyone's really rallied, and the early glimpse I've seen of the culture survey results show that, as Ms. touched on, we've got a lot going on. People are excited by that and sort of catalyzed by that, but also, there's trades, some culture trades happening where, which is fine. It's good to know that and to be able to say that out loud. And so I think I'm most excited right now about the team and the embracing of our culture values and transparency elements and leaning in where we need to lean in above everything else. It was also great to get to hang out with the support team. I hadn't met several of you, so my bingo card is about to get updated. I think I'm probably going to take the lead. Sorry, MD. And yeah, we're going to relocate to the west side of Austin in a month. So we got a new place, and I'm excited about that personally. Riley.
Just want to say a huge update today, like so much going on, and it's so cool to jump in and see all the things that are happening, but really enjoyed Mrs. touch point and just calling out the tension between just the need to push and deliver and ship right now and our culture. And I think in the past, my last role, I really got caught up in that hustle side and maybe a little bit chewed up and swallowed up by it. But this time, like, Levels just feels so different. And I think there's a lot of things that we do that help us balance those two sides of the slide that Ms. showed, the hustle, need to hustle and deliver, and then the commitment to our culture. And it's just things like being there for each other, having tools, processes, Athena, all the chat that's going on with ChatGPT right now, how to leverage, make things better. And I think that's what really sets us apart. And I know it's going to be hard, but I feel so supported by things like that the team's doing. So no worries at all that we're going to get there.
Love to hear it. Ian.
For me, on the professional side, one, developers in my team continue to beat estimates for shipping stuff. So multi-part stories, for instance, was just supposed to be real big, but it went out real fast. And I'm just super impressed with the productivity of people on my team. The other professional hat was just seeing people for barbecue in Austin this week. It was great to see all your faces again and connect with people. On the personal side, I had this is not good news, but it's like colorful novel news. On Monday I had jury duty, and there was a recess mid-morning. I took a walk around the block, went back in the building, and when I went through the security screening, there was nobody else in the lobby. So I guess the security guards were like extra on their guard and testing out how meticulous they could be at that moment. And so I carry around like a little tiny metal pill container with Lactaid because I'm Jewish, and I'm watching my wife laugh at me right now. So they pulled that out of the security screening and then briefly arrested me and escorted me to a detention room, and had me convince them that the white powdery like remnants of the Lactaid was not cocaine. And then they tested it and determined that I was telling the truth. And then we had a nice chat. Anyway, it really added some color and flair to my experience of otherwise boring experience of jury duty.
Criminal confessions on Friday Forum. I love it. This is the first. Glad you made it through that one, Ian. Mercy.
Yeah, professionally, it was really great to meet so many people in person. We've been working together for months and some people a year or more. So that was really nice getting to know everybody on a deeper level. And then personally, gonna run a 10K race on Sunday, first race I've ever done. So I'm nervous and excited for that.
Yep, it's exciting. I think I'm gonna walk it at least. I'm still nursing a hip flexor injury, but I'll be there as well. Sonia.
All right, team. Can't believe it's been 1 year. I'm honored to share this date with Caitlin and sort of share this date with Justin also. And I was actually meaning to put together some reflections over the weekend, which maybe I'll do, but just off the top of my head, I feel so grateful. I've learned so much in a year, and I love working so cross-functionally and doing so many things I never thought I'd be able to do, like host podcasts and publish articles and film in-app content. And it's just been so fun. And I'm so grateful to have learned from so many people on this team over the last year. So just feeling super grateful and energized today, ready for mile 2, as Ms. was putting it. And then personally, this weekend, Alex and I are hosting a burrito battle because each of us have very strong feelings on what the best breakfast burrito is. So we're inviting all of our friends over, and they each have to have half of each of ours. And we're going to have like a rating system, and may the best burrito win.
Good luck. Keep us posted. This sounds like the breakfast taco version of this should happen in Austin. Caitlin.
Okay, so first of all, Sonia, that sounds like a content opportunity. So I hope you will be recording it. But
mine is metabolically healthy. Alex's is not. So we'll see here.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm basically just gonna jump on Sonia's, which is like, whoa, it's been a year. And this is kind of like, I feel like a mix of personal and professional. Having this benchmark just makes me feel like, oh, this was like a good year. And for me, it's kind of hard to disambiguate like what is the like work piece and what is like the rest of life piece. Obviously, the birth of my soul child plays a big part in it being a good year. But yeah, I'm feeling like very satisfied and just like I'm just very happy with all the things that I've been able to do in this obviously somewhat curtailed year because I was out for a chunk of it. But also thanks to Ms. for his presentation today. It definitely resonated. Ms. and I may or may not have chatted over barbecue earlier this week. Yeah, So thanks to that. And I think that's it. Also great to see everyone in Austin. Josh, really appreciated how nerdy we were able to get very, very quickly. And yeah, good week, good year. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, we went full nerd on that one right off the bat. Sorry about that. All right, anyone else have anything to share? Personal, professional, criminal?
I'll share. I don't have nothing criminal, unfortunately. Sorry to disappoint. I'm really inspired by everyone talking about some of their fitness stuff they've got going on. And I've got some things coming up too. And I'm going to be out for Thanksgiving Friday, so I thought I'd share. I've got a CrossFit comp that we're hitting in 2 weeks. And then the week after that, I'm participating in my first swim meet. And I'm nervous about that one because I've never done a swim meet. I started swimming like seriously in like September, October. And apparently this is a big deal. I didn't realize it. I mean, when I signed up, it's like I guess Masters National or something like that in Irvine. And they have some pretty serious swimmers there. And so I tested my 500 for the first time and got like a 7:28 on it. And then I went and looked at the qualifying times for it. And you're supposed to be able to swim like a 5:10. And I'm like, okay, cool. I've got some work to do. So I'm going to be bringing up the rear on this competition, but I'm really looking forward to it. This is like a big area of growth for me to hit. I'm hoping to do it for myself and have a good time. And otherwise, though, the CrossFit comp, I'm hoping to come home with either the second place, which I got last year, or first place. So we'll see how that goes. I did personal first. Professionally, I'm loving what we're doing right now with the app. I'm having a really fun time building it. Thanks for all the great product ideas and all the designs and all this stuff. It's been really fun to implement. I think we're going in a really good direction. So thanks, everybody.
Awesome, man. Good luck on those competitions. That sounds like a hell of a menu. Ms.
Yeah, Ian, after I will share it. My professional highlight of the week was the energy that happened when we were ordering barbecue across the team. I think me and Mike just got on another level of excitement around the barbecue itself. And sometimes, the like energy in the air is just like so high and everyone's just in an awesome mood. So there was like a good 5 minutes there that were just on top of the world. It was really fun just seeing the team kind of lose their minds over this. And I didn't know barbecue could be so good. The big argument was whether or not we were ordering enough. We ordered enough is the answer. On the professional side, really good to have the in-person time with the team. We did a new session this time where we just kind of told the history of support, showing kind of how the team grew so much over the course of the last year. And that was a really, really interesting exercise just to remember how much has changed, how much we've implemented, and how much work has gone into getting it to this point. So it was really healthy. Loved meeting the team in person, getting us all together for the first time, that subgroup, and spent a little bit of time in the help calculate a handful of tickets, which was a good reminder. So yeah, thanks everyone for the time there.
Awesome. Good note to end on. All right. Great week, everybody. Another great week to look forward to ahead, I'm sure. And thanks everyone for, joining the forum and making this a really solid one. And to our special guests, it was awesome to have a doubleheader today. That's the first. So, all right. Have a great weekend and we'll see you all soon.